This is John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on June the 7th in the year of our Lord 2026. And I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late, but we brought the kids down to Santa Claus, Indiana, to Holiday World and Splash and Safari. We're going to spend the next 3 days here. And I wasn't aware of this, but Santa Claus, Indiana is in the central time zone. So here where we are, it's only like 7:05. So that's why I was a few minutes late here. Kind of got rushed putting this together. So more than likely, since we're going to go to an amusement park, my videos will probably start at more like 9 p.m. Eastern Time as opposed to 8 p.m. So, because going to the park and getting back home and everything, or getting back to the cottage and getting everything set up, I don't know that I could make it back at this time. I mean, it's still broad daylight out. So, with that being said, though, tonight I do have some great information for you I want to share with you. Let's just jump over here to Murtech on Rumble. Okay, this is my Rumble channel. This is the video we're going over tonight, episode 1941, my live stream. Let's go ahead and click into that. Let me pause this here. Hi, Viper Senior. Good evening. Where we go one, we go all. That's for sure. Rumble number 3 today. Thank you so much. I'll get back to you here momentarily. Let me close that out, slide down here, and click the Show More button to expand out the description box. All right, we have information here from Andrew Klavan, Doug in Exile, Steve Gruber, and X22 Report. But before we get into that, I do need to give some shout outs here to Three Holland just started following my channel. HB020114 just started following my channel. Ellen Louise 1776, that was a good year, just started following my channel. D. Donna K. Kev 1 just started following my channel. Lee 0714 just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. All right, Debbie BS reposted my extra 723A, and Granny 99 reposted my extra 722C. Debbie BS, Viper Senior, and Bev 112 commented on my episode 1940. Cotton Ball 31 and Grand Mato 10 commented on my extra 723C. Debbie BS commented on my extra 723A. Debbie BS commented on my extra 723B. And got this again here, Debbie BS and One Love Your ABC 1 commented on my extra 723C. So thank you very much, folks, for reposting my videos and your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I certainly appreciate your support. Let me give this a thumbs up. And Viper Senior, good evening. Where we go one, we go all. Got the comment and the chat in there, so let me give him a thumbs up as well. Very good. Okay, let's get into this. Andrew Klavan, I'm going to play his intro here, his monologue, and then we'll jump up to about the 6-minute and 25-second mark, get past his advertisements and stuff, and go from there. So let's get this started. Here we go. Let me get this back to the beginning, actually.
Sociologists and other complete wastes of space are working around the clock to try to determine why women are no longer having babies, aside from the fact that babies wake them up all the time and crap all over everything. The birth rate has been dropping everywhere except in sub-Saharan Africa and Israel. And if present trends continue, scientists predict the world's population will soon be reduced to nothing but black people and Jews, blissfully enjoying an earthly paradise where every basketball player can find an accountant, although no one knows how to tie a Windsor knot. Some researchers feel that the so-called birth dearth is the result of the widespread use of online pornography. Columbia University sociologist Dr. Roland Fatmeister has been studying the effects of porn for the last 7 years, 10 and 11 hours a day. In a report to the United Nations panel on why there are so many damned Israelis all over the place, Dr. Fatmeister said, quote, "There can be no doubt that many men have come to prefer porn to actual sex. Because the women in porn have such spectacular bodies, it's enough to make a man insane with desire so that he can't stop coming back again and again and again to watch these magnificent creatures do anything you want in bed. And with real enthusiasm, too. They don't just roll their eyes and play along and then make snide remarks about how they could have married Bill Burley from high school, who was a real man. Even if you strangle porn girls, they react with mind-blowing orgasms instead of calling the police or telling your mother. And then afterwards, you can turn them off so they don't start complaining about why you haven't taken out the garbage or how come you can't get a real job instead of locking yourself in the bathroom for hours, making disgusting grunting noises that make them think you're up to something creepy, even when you tell them it's scientific research, for crying out loud. Unquote. Dr. Fatmeister says the porn sites most appealing to men are those that depict women doing things real women often won't do, like make dinner or show them some respect. Feminist sociologist Dr. Shrill Screamington says the baby famine is actually a good thing, as it's a sign of female empowerment, proving that women are no longer chained to staying at home, serving husbands who love them, but can instead stay in the office, serving employers who could back their Mercedes over them and never notice the bump, although the employer might think the parking lot needs resurfacing and text his personal assistant about it and wonder why she never gets back to him. Dr. Screamington says that while it is true that feminism has led many women to spend their youths in a fluorescent hell of cubicle drudgery until they find themselves languishing in a solitary middle age marked by a sense of unspeakable emptiness, made all the more unbearable by the unacknowledged but inescapable fact that it's the result of their own self-certain but altogether misguided choices, including that nose ring that sent all the best marriage prospects running for their lives, there have also been many feminist triumphs. For instance, Americans are now so comfortable with seeing females in power that there are over 150 women serving in Congress, despite the fact that each and every one of them is crazier than a hamster on LSD. At the New York Times, a former newspaper, Times sex columnist Susan Horwich agrees with the feminist position. In a recent speech to the Society for Increasing Human Misery in the Name of Fairness, Ms. Horwich said her weekly Times columns will continue to urge women to abandon institutions like marriage and religion that have imprisoned them in traditional roles as homemakers and mothers, and instead live lives of sterile promiscuity until there are no babies at all and the earth is a smoking ruin filled with nothing but basketball players and accountants, at which time Satan will return to carry Miss Horwich like a lover into an eternity of flames, as he promised he would when she sold him her soul in return for the Times job. Trigger warning. I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
Well, there again, I'm glad he cleared that up for me because I had some confusion about that whole situation there. But now that, he's got that cleared up, we're all pretty much ready to go. Okay, let's see what we got here.
Which is clearly the I've always been suspicious of anything that sounds like a shortcut. If somebody has routine sources and sustained subscription percent LA, in a way, I want to.
All right, Land of Hope and Fear, Chapter 1.
Chapter 1, Land of Hope and Fear. So because I'm going away, I want to leave you with a picture of where I think we are politically and culturally, which I think is pretty interesting. I noticed that a lot of people are very certain about what is happening and what's going to happen and what you should do, what you should eat, how you should treat your wife, how you should treat your husband. I notice online, there's just all this absolute certainty. If just all you have to do is this and everything will work out. For some reason, call it wisdom. I don't have a lot of certainty, but I'm looking at what I think is a new day dawning in America, and I think it's going to, have bad things and good things. And I'm kind of looking at this election not as the most decisive election of our lifetimes, which is what the commentators always sell you to make you turn back in, but as indicative of where things are going. And the old expression that the Republican Party is the stupid party and the Democrat Party is the evil party. That has never been more true. We just had these primaries this week, and of course in California, they're still going on because the law there is the counting has to continue until the Democrats get the result they want. But just looking at Trump first, Trump's grip we're seeing in these primaries on the GOP is still very tight. MAGA is still the core of the GOP, but his influence on the electorate is completely unknown. The general electorate, his popularity is down, is very low, around 40%. But the Democrats are even lower. Their popularity, their approval rating is in the 30s. So we don't know. His virtually every endorsement in each primary race that he has made has won, except the one the other day in Iowa. Zach Lon, I guess, beat Randy Feinster to be the governor candidate. But it's still an open question whether the primary winners he picked will have power in the generals. We just don't know how strong he is. And remember, despite Trump saying, he's always saying, I want a massive victory, I have a mandate and all this stuff. It's just not that true. It's not really true. About 115,000 votes in 3 states would have turned it the other way. That's not that many. And Holman Jenkins Jr., a very insightful guy at the Wall Street Journal, he's talked about the fact that Trump is to some degree a creation of his enemies, that if his enemies had not wanted to run against him, they might not have made him president, especially the second time. Biden said he wanted to run against him. There was no one else. Biden did such a bad job. There was no one else in his imagination that he could beat except Trump. And a lot of the bogus prosecutions of him and the demonizations of him were actually sculpted to help him in the primaries, because the conservatives would get all angry and, you're prosecuting him for crimes that are absurd. But at the same time, when he got to the generals, people would say, oh, he's a felon, he was convicted of such and such a crime, and they would hurt him there. And that was the whole part. But of course, Biden did so badly that ultimately he had to debate Trump and was crushed, and there was no way to come back from that. So we really don't know how strong his grip is on the general public and how much they are willing to accept the demonization of them. Obviously, not as much as the Democrats thought he was. So we don't know how powerful he's going to be coming into this. Of course, there's also the midterms. Midterms always go to the opposition party. In terms of the left, you can sort of say, well, some of the people who are being nominated are not as bad as the worst of them. But really what we're seeing is an insurgence of the far left of the party, successful enough so that the evilest part of the evil party is kind of, it looks like they're on the rise, and nobody closer to the center, if there's any Democrats left close to the center, are willing to oppose them. I mean, we saw in New Jersey this guy, Adam Hamawe, won. Now that's a safe Democratic, you know, district, but he's the guy who was hanging out with the blind sheik who inspired the bombing of the New York World Trade Center before the big bombing of it, and a lot of progressive candidates, or more progressive candidates, have been doing all right. The most obvious guy, though, who is evil, is this guy, Graham Plattner, who's running for senator in Maine. And it's amazing how many Democrats are backing him in spite of the fact that he's running against Susan Collins, who is the mildest, most lefty, Republican in the Senate. Plattner's the guy with the Nazi tattoo, which the Democrats object to because they don't feel the Nazis hated the Jews enough. I think that's their problem with the Nazi tattoo. But now there's all this stuff. He sexted women during his marriage. He's hung out on sex sites, sometimes said to traffic in children. He said he masturbated in a porta potty, which, by the way, is an actual sign of mental disturbance. That would actually speak to a true mental illness, possibly. He said he was communist. He's praised fascism. He's attacked veterans, all this stuff. And so he came to D.C. the other day and to visit with the Democrats and tell them there were no more revelations. But the will to power is so strong on the left. They feel that they're on the march, and they feel that if they can get their hands on government, they will not let go. And so they're willing to go. And his biggest supporter is Bernie Sanders, who's also a mentally ill person because he hasn't changed his mind in 80 years, despite the fact that everything he believes has been shown to be false. And that, when I say he's mentally ill, I mean it. I think that he was a guy that, if he weren't so able to hide it, if he were studied by a psychiatrist, I think he would be put away. Nobody, clings to something that has been proved false again and again, unless there's something really disturbing about him. And so he was. This is how he talked about Trump, just to show you the way people throw their values away for power. This is the way he talked about Trump when he was misquoting Trump. They were selling that very fine people on both sides in Charlottesville. And this is what Bernie Sanders said about that. This is cut one.
When you have a president commenting on a march by Nazis and white supremacists, who then declares, well, there are nice people on both sides. Mr. President, there are no nice Nazis.
All right, so he's lying. He's lying about what Trump said. But now this is what he says about Platner's Nazi tattoo. This got two.
I'm not overly impressed by a squad of media running around saying, what do you think about the tattoo on Grand Platner's chest? Between you and me, there might be one or two more important issues.
A Nazi, sometimes you're a Nazi, sometimes you're a communist, but what can you say? So this is the thing. This is an evil party. It has gotten more evil. It is getting more evil. It is in danger of becoming really evil, and they're going to go with it if it means they get the power that they want. So in California, a lot of attention in the California race, but it's unclear what's going to happen because, as I say, they're still counting and they cheat. They cheat like crazy. And, so the last I looked, Steve Hilton, a good guy, very smart guy. He is keeping up with Xavier Becerra, who was Biden's health secretary. And Becerra kind of belongs in California because he has long been suspected of siphoning off campaign funds. They've never charged him directly, but everybody around him has been siphoning off campaign funds. So he's corrupt, and or at least I should say allegedly. I'm sorry, he's allegedly corrupt. Hilton, he's been gaining he's got some mojo going on. People are showing up for him. So we'll see if he can hang on, if they don't just throw him out. Now, there's another candidate in there who is a progressive, and it's Tom Steyer. And so, of course, he's siphoning off votes. But Becerra wants to run against Hilton because he knows that without Steyer in there, he'll have that many votes. So you never know what's going to happen there, but it looks like Becerra is going to, Biden guy is going to be the next governor. And in the mayoral race, of course, Karen Bass is running for re-election, promising to burn the rest of the city to the ground and continue to turn whatever is left into a slum of homeless people stealing copper wiring so the streetlights go out, because that's the LA she's running. But she's popular enough that was in the lead last time I looked. And this TV star, this reality TV star, Spencer Pratt, probably doesn't have a chance once they get rid of the other progressive candidate, Ramon. But the important thing about California is this, because this is the real opponent of the Republicans who we are not quite sure of at this moment. The real opponent is what California is. It's what leftism does. The thing you have to know about California is everybody says, oh, they're so leftist. They're so leftist. They're not leftist. They're corrupt with leftist subtitles. California is a incredibly corrupt state. And of course it's corrupt. I mean, even the state auditor put out a report 2025 that there has been $76.5 billion in fraudulent California spending. J.D. Vance just withheld $1.3 billion because he didn't know where it was going to go. Here's Vance talking about that.
We're announcing that the federal government is deferring $1.3 billion in Medicaid reimbursements from the state of California. And the simple reason is because the state of California has not taken fraud very seriously. And because of that, we see a lot of the consequences that I just referenced. And again, let me highlight the fact that this really is two separate victims. So there are California taxpayers and American taxpayers who are being defrauded because California isn't taking its program seriously. But also you have people who've been prescribed medications that they don't even need. It's a defrauding of the American taxpayer, but it's a violation of the trust that should exist between every American and the people who prescribe the medications. That's one thing that we're targeting. And this is why we're taking this action, is because we want California to get serious about this fraud.
But it's not going to happen. I mean, think about this. That's all very interesting. It's great that he's doing it. But where's the money for the high-speed train? Where's the money for hospice care, that, aside from the $50 million allegedly in the pocket of 5 people the DOJ just indicted for fraud? Where's the money to get the homeless off the streets? They have so much money. They spent so much money, and it still looks like Nairobi. As many as 16,000 homes were destroyed in those fires, the Palisades and the Eaton fires. And it was a man with leftist hatred of the rich who's accused of setting one of the fires. the number of homes that have been restored, this is a year and a half later, is in 2 digits. It's like around 30 or 40 homes that have been restored. And that's because of regulations and corruption that is built in. Corruption is built into leftism because leftism centralizes power. It's an authoritarian idea. They sell it as equality, they sell it as fairness, but it's really putting them in charge, putting Bernie in charge of the money, which means that they have all the power, which means they can do anything they want, which means ultimately you end up bribing people. When you crush free trade, all of the things that free trade gives you go underground into a black market every single time. This is not like sometimes this happens all the time. The only exception is if you're in a small nation where everybody looks exactly the same, and then you can have some socialism because people trust each other, and they protect this. You remember that pro-lifer David DeLayden, I think his name was, who filmed Planned Parenthood officials sitting around and bragging and laughing about selling baby parts after they slaughtered the babies in the womb. They would sell them for medical research and how much money they would get. And California prosecuted DeLayden for getting the videos of that. They didn't prosecute Planned Parenthood. Well, they're now trying to expand a privacy law that would limit the powers of indie journalists like Nick Shirley, who exposed a lot of the corruption that has caused J.D. Vance to go after them. It's called the president to go after them and appoint J.D. Vance to run that. So that corruption is leftism. Leftism becomes corruption every time. Authoritarianism becomes corruption, and leftism is authoritarianism. So that's one of the things that you're looking at if they should win and if they should get into power. And remember, once Democrats get into power, they want to stay there. They are saying they're going to expand the Supreme Court to 13 judges, which means they would override the decisions of any conservatives who've been duly and fairly appointed. They want to turn D.C. into a state because they think that'll give them 2 more senators. It would give them 2 more senators. They will destroy the country to hold power because they have to once they get a hold of it, because socialism doesn't work. So it's not only causes corruption, it's not only authoritarian, but it leaves the homeless in the street and the houses burning down and all the other things that are happening in California. And one other view of a leftist future that we have to just talk about is this story out of England that obviously I'm sure makes everybody's gorge rise, of Henry Nowak, a white 18-year-old university student out with some friends, attacked, chased, stabbed to death. He was stabbed seriously 5 times. He was just stabbed over and over again with the ceremonial 8-inch knife that Sikhs carry as a religious ceremony. Sikhs, by the way, usually very peaceful people, obviously not this guy, Bikram Digwa. The police arrived and Novak told them he was stabbed, but at the same time, Digwa accused him of using racist slurs. So the cops cuffed Novak, who died on the street. Here's a bit of footage from this. It's a little bit upsetting, but it's worth watching. Cut 5.
Right, let's get you out of there, shall we? Oh.
I was in bed asleep. Whenever the phone up,
I've got broom. Grab his other arm.
What's
happened to you, right? Been stabbed. You've been stabbed? Whereabouts? I don't think you have, mate.
I don't think you have, mate. So this is Nigel Farage, the Reform leader. This is the rising right-wing party that's coming in to replace the Tories, because the Tories have just been, just like the Republicans, they've just been sort of mild labor people, just like the Republicans have been mild Democrats until Donald Trump came along. Here's Nigel Farage talking about this. Is cut 6.
He was actually treated in a way that meant an accusation of a racial slur was treated more seriously than an act of murder. What does he say? I can't breathe. Familiar words? Remember career criminal George Floyd, who died in appalling circumstances in Midwest America a few years ago. Remember the reaction to that and the way the police behaved. Within a few days, Keir Starmer was taking the knee. Black Lives Matter exploded all over the country. Churchill's statue was defaced. The cenotaph was vandalized. And yet, what has the public reaction been from our leaders and politicians? And indeed, to be frank, much of the media to this? Silence.
Yeah, that's happening here too. The story is not being covered by anybody but Fox News and us, and it's just they want to bury it. this is the third thing about leftism. It is an international movement. It is a movement, an imperialist movement that cannot, because it doesn't work, it has to take over every place, because if you can escape it, you will. I mean, look at the people swimming through the shark-infested waters, on a board to get from Cuba to America. So it's an international movement. As I said, I think it was last week, bad ideas have to silence everybody because they can't make their cases. So that's what we're looking at. We're actually looking at this rising movement. It may not make it. The Democrats may, rebel, and more centrist Democrats may come forward, but I don't really see that many centrists. The people that they're calling centrists are now so far to the left that they're out of their minds as well. So the fight is between MAGA, or what is coming after MAGA. That's all this. I'm not just talking about this election. I'm talking about the new age, and whether or not we're going to have to veer into leftist incompetence, authoritarianism, disaster, and oppression and censorship before we come to our senses, or are we going to find something, make something out of MAGA that goes beyond the liberating but chaotic corrective of Donald Trump?
Okay, great information. I mean, he always comes through with great information. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you this video does come from Andrew Klavan. This is the video I shared with you. I'm giving him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. I will include this video in my daily news wrap-up so you can watch more of that. Okay, Viper Senior and Debbie BS are chatting here with us. Anybody else want to jump in? Feel free to do so. Okay, let's see what Doug in Exile has to say. Okay, they went too far this time. Well, let's see what that's all about.
This is insane. Remember, this is the Democrat Party brand going into the midterms. Democrat Party brand. Democrats in New York have passed a bill changing terms such as mother and father to gestating parent and non-gestating parent. This is their LGBTQ anti-family messaging. They're sticking to it. It's bigger than ever in New York as of today. They just passed a bill with the terms gestating parent. What a terrible thing to call your mom. I should call my mom on the phone right now. Hello, gestating parent. What in the world? And my dad, who's passed, if I ever called him non-gestating parent, he probably would have backhanded me in the face, even as an adult man. Hello, non-gestating parent. This isn't even human. It will now head to Governor Kathy Hochul to be signed into law. Democrats are destroying what it means to be a mother and a father. I'm going to zoom in on this document. Whoa, zoom out. Sorry, guys. I'm going to zoom in on this document and show you. It just has highlighted those words in this document. Section 517 of the Family Court Act, as amended by Chapter 809. Chapter, ad read. No. Chapter 809 of the laws of 1985 is amended to read as follows. Time for instituting proceedings to establish the, instead of paternity, parentage of a child may be instituted during the pregnancy of the, instead of mother, they crossed it out up here and put in gestating parent. These people are morally retarded. The Democrat Party is morally retarded. While I think this is a disaster and satanic, I actually hope they run on it because they're more likely to lose, and we have to wrestle that power away from them one vote at a time. New York declares war on the nuclear family. This is a Fox News bit here. With, look who's right above me. It's Kathy Hochul. I mean,
Hochul signs this bill sitting on her desk. A new law will make it illegal to call them mother and father. Nate Foy has the details on this. Nate?
Hey, Jackie. So, yeah, New York Democrats argue the words mother and father are outdated and need to be replaced with more inclusive terms under state law.
The Democrat Party can't die fast enough. You guys can't, your party and your worldview and your weirdo, anti-human, and it's totalitarian. It can't just be, hey, you can still use the word mother if you want, and I'll use gestating parent or whatever the word they want to use. It has to be, no, it's illegal for you to say, I love you, mom. Mother is a racist, bigoted, anti-LGBTQ. You're on the wrong side of history using words like mother. That's what makes me sick, is they despise tradition and the past, and they go, we have to change that radically in a Marxist, totalitarian Marxism is a satanic, anti-God, atheist worldview. They're like, we have to change this now. This has to be radical. We have to shame you. That's what makes me sick about it.
What's needed now is Governor Kathy Hochul's signature. So if Hochul approves, in New York's family court and in domestic and education law, a mother would be labeled as a gestating parent, a father as a non-gestating parent, and paternity proceedings to determine the child's father would be called parentage proceedings. The bill passed the state Senate this week and the state assembly back in March. Governor Hochul proudly calls herself New York's first mom governor. It's unclear if she'll support this change, though.
Look, it's the first gestating person governor. She said, I'm the first mom governor. She's the first gestating person governor. Look deeply into her face. This is a gestating person. I hope they run on this. Please, Democrats, please pass this totalitarian, anti-human, psychotic garbage. This is what they're obsessed with. There's people walking around on the streets of New York right now, chainsawing other people, stabbing them, throwing them in front of traffic, throwing them in front of their high-speed rail or whatever their subway system they call it, releasing criminals. There's a mafia operating there, extracting money from, locals. Terrible. And the biggest crime of all, they're probably not recycling many bottles, guys. They're probably destroying the world by just throwing those plastic bottles. Since I always thought it was weird that we buy water and carry it around. I drink water from the tap. I don't even use a cup. I turn that faucet on, I get my head down under there like a dog, and I drink straight from the faucet. They buy water, and then they regulate. I'm waiting for canned air. We need to start bottling air and breathe it, and then have to write all these laws about the bottles that the air is carried in. She's a bigot because she called herself New York's first mom.
I'm not familiar with what was introduced late last night, so I'll take a look at it. I have until the end of the year to review them and make a decision, so I won't be commenting on pending legislation.
Until the limitations statute can protect me, until the election is over, then I'll tell you what I really feel after you vote for me. Then I'll pass this thing and it'll be illegal to use the word mother in our legal documents. I'm going to use the word mother all the time, and I will use it to describe every Democrat, because we all know, guys, every Democrat is a mother, if you know what I mean.
New York would join other states like Massachusetts, California, Connecticut, and Colorado to change the definition and wording of parents in their state laws. Democrats argue the bill is necessary to accommodate surrogacy cases and same-sex couples.
So now you know what this is about, guys. This is the LGBTQ agenda. And there's a lot of people that want to culturally say, hey, Doug, lay off the LGBTQ thing. What do you care what me and my partner want to do? The LGBTQ have always been here, okay? People tolerated it. You're allowed. I don't have to call it good. I don't have to say it's preferred. If my kids came out same sex, I don't have to say, I'm so happy. I'm so thrilled. That is interchangeable with you finding someone of the opposite sex. It's not interchangeable, and they're demanding that legally it be treated interchangeable, that the word mother is too specific and too traditional and too beautiful and too honoring. You have to strip it down to this gestating person.
Hi, Congresswoman. You recently participated in a press conference that is advocating for 12 days of paid leave for women who experience menstrual pain. Yeah. I'm just curious, Democrats think that men are women, so would men also be afforded those 12 days off?
Why do you ask questions like that? You're a woman. Do you know how hard it's been for women in the workplace with a lot of, I have friends with POS. This is ridiculous that you're asking this question.
Well, I am a woman, so I'm concerned about men entering women's spaces.
Don't do that to her.
I'm just curious because you guys insist that men are women.
Genuine love and respect for women in the workplace, trying to create safety and trying to create you're sitting there trying to politicize it in a way that's around hate.
Thank you.
It's brainwashing at the legal level. This should be unconstitutional. To foist this on the people is so anti-freedom and anti-you and me and anti-human. Now, the good news, guys, is they're not going to win. There aren't enough dingbat lunatics to agree with these elites. So I'm not here to tell everyone, fear, it's all falling apart. No, the nuclear family, it really is dead. Guys, if the nuclear family dies and men and women stop, doing the deed under marriage and raising their kids, society would end. if
Okay, I'm going to pause this here, and I got to move on. I'm running out of time. Oh, the link to this video is in the description box, folks, if you want to watch the rest of it. There's like 10 minutes left, actually. So, isn't it unbelievable? And the thing about it, people in frickin' New York will continue to vote these people in office. How the hell does that happen? Well, maybe it happens with mail-in ballots. I don't know. Maybe their elections aren't quite on the up and up, as that has been discussed before. But I don't know how people this crazy can continue to be in power. It's unfreaking believable. Okay, this video does come from Doug in Exile. It's the video I shared with, and I am subscribed to his channel on Rumble, or YouTube, sorry. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here. And how demented can the Democrats get? Well, I don't know. Because they continue to get more demented day by day. Steve Gruber, Walberg on War Powers of Congressional Authority. Tim Walberg. Let's see what this is all about.
Jump right back into it with my next guest, Congressman Tim Walberg from Michigan 5. Congressman, good morning.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Man, you're up early like you always are over at the gym getting things done. Appreciate that. The Senate got some things done early this morning as well. Do tell.
Yeah, they finally got it done. I mean, the stalemate that went on from Chuck Schumer to keep the funding for ICE and Customs and Border Patrol, arguably two of the most successful entities in our government bureaucracy, since our border is secure and has been secure for the last year or more. There's been no illegals allowed through like under Biden that brought a pervasive problem onto our country as a result of illegal criminal aliens. And so it was about time. The House passed it. House passed it several times, Senate to the Senate, to fund our Customs and Border agents, our ICE, our TSA agents, all the Homeland Security operations that are there, including FEMA and the rest. But the Senate continued to push back because, frankly, they wanted to try to bloody President Trump's eye.
Yeah.
I think ultimately the people talked, and senators got it done early this morning, and we'll complete it early next week, and be done with that. The final piece of appropriations legislation that we had to work on from this year. All other 11 bills have been passed weeks and weeks ago and signed into law, and it was about time this got done.
On the other side, so this one's good, but on the other side, before I go on, though, so the government shutdown over ICE and Border Patrol by the Democrats here for weeks not long ago was a complete failure then.
Yeah, absolutely. Fortunately, it wasn't a whole government shutdown, but
right.
It was significantly important entities. And we're talking about national security. We're talking about doing what we ought to do in protecting our citizens from incursions coming from the border, of criminals. We've seen the horrific results of what Biden and his administration allowed to happen. The deaths, the murders, the truck drivers running over people, illegal aliens who were driving trucks and couldn't even read the signs in English. Those type of things happened, and that's what we're trying to get a hold of. And ICE and Customs and Border are doing the job. And it's interesting, Steve, that the only problems that entities had with ICE were entities in sanctuary cities like Minneapolis and St. Paul, Chicago, New York. Those were the places that pushed back on ICE agents and Customs and Border agents simply doing their job, following the law that was given to them. They didn't make the laws. And yet Minneapolis wouldn't allow their own police department to do their work in protecting ICE so they could do their work. So ICE had to do both, and that didn't work well. And so this is passed, and In fact, I didn't see Mark Wayne Mullen in the gym this morning where he normally is, because I think he was up all night getting that bill passed through.
Right. On the other side, now I want to shift gears to the War Powers Act. Yesterday, or Wednesday, this week anyhow, the House voting to limit Donald Trump's ability to continue what he's doing in Iran, except that for me it's a little confusing. There's a ceasefire currently. And so therefore, wouldn't that reset the clock to another 60 days? I mean, I'm no lawyer. I'm no member of Congress, but it seems unusual. And you had, 4 Republicans cross the aisle, or 5, whatever it was, to try to limit what Donald Trump can do to bring this conflict to an end and bring Iran back into the world of civilized nations. Your thoughts?
Well, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I don't think that the War Powers Act is constitutional. And there are some significant constitutional attorneys, conservatives, who believe that same thing, and that's where I take my advice from. This is the commander-in-chief, and he has the opportunity until, of course, Congress steps up and says, no, we're not going to fund your war. But we didn't do that, and the president stepped in for defense of America. Iran had killed several thousand of our citizens in the past 47 years. They had continued to this very day, and developing a nuclear armament that was not acceptable, not simply for Israel, but for not for the United States or any other country on this earth, to have those crazies over there with a nuclear weapon. So I think the president did the right thing, and for these Democrats to push forward a bill that won't go anywhere. I mean, it's not going to do anything to stop the president. The Senate will not get it through. The president certainly wouldn't sign it. And in a time of conflict where the president is in heavy negotiations, for these people, my colleagues who voted for this crummy bill, to give aid and comfort to Iranian mullahs and Ayatollah, if he's still alive or if he's competent to even understand, to give them aid and comfort in saying, hey, Trump's own Congress doesn't support him. And so we'll just labor on a bit more, and we'll hold out a little bit more. That's not what we want. We want to finish this thing and get the oil flowing through the Straits of Hormuz again, get Iranian citizens, the good Iranians that are there, the opportunity to have a free life and get back into the real world again, like they were before the Ayatollah took over. So, no, it was just wrong what was done. But sadly, politics plays thing and perceptions plays. And we even had 4 Republicans who were afraid of their shadows and were willing to vote with the Democrats on this. And thankfully, it's not going to have an impact. But perception-wise, it says something we don't want to say.
Speaking of radical, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about this, Congressman, and that is Graham Plattner. And he's just one of the symptoms of these radical candidates. And Chuck Schumer and all these other senators say, well, that's why there's a campaign. They cannot denounce a guy who had a Totenkopf tattoo on his chest for almost 20 years. And that's what the Nazi prison guards wore at Auschwitz and Dachau and those other places. That's what they wore. Yeah. And now it's come out from an ex-girlfriend. That's why they got it. It wasn't some drunken mistake. He got it because they like to kill people. And he has this twisted attitude, plus all the sexual stuff. I only got about 30 seconds here. Why do the Democrats have such an inability to distance themselves from such a broken individual?
They simply want to win. They want to win in elections, and they're willing to accept anybody that plays on whatever fears that are out there, wrongly so. And so they won't step up. This is the same party, remember, that for 4 years didn't say anything about Epstein. And then when Trump takes over, now they can't stop talking about Epstein as a sexual pervert. But now they've got a Senate candidate who's a sexual pervert, Graham Plattner, that they won't stand up against. This is a party that is devoid of any morality, and I think of any appreciation for America or support for America. And I say that living with people day in and out, they are not supportive of America.
Well, I hope the voters realize that. I hope the 40% of Christians that don't vote will look at that and get off the couch in Michigan and across this country this fall. Sir, thank you for being here.
Yep.
All right, there you have it, folks. Great information, and I cannot disagree with anything that they said. It's amazing. Here again, the Democrats and rhinos are destroying this country. Okay, this video, clicking the Rumble link, takes us over here to this video that I just shared with you from Steve Gruber. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. Looks like Foxy Grandma joined us, so thank you very much. And here we go with X22 report, Mr. and Mrs. X. Now, I like to share their videos because, I mean, they say, just like all the other information that I try to share out with you, they say exactly what we're thinking. You know, no nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. You know, that's all what we ask, not, you know, gestating parent, gestating person, non-gestating person, unfreaking believable. And that question that was asked, you know, about, okay, if they have a new thing in there that women menstruating can have pains, claim they have pains. Okay, they can take 12 days off with pay. Okay, well, what about the guys that say that they're women? You know, that's pretty amazing. But at any rate, we've already talked about that. Let's get to Mr. and Mrs. X. This is on Rumble Premium, but you'll be able to see it here, and I will be sharing this in my daily news wrap-up. Hi, M41 Coco. Glad you could join us. And before we move on here, I do want to mention, because some people have come in a little bit late, we are in, the family here are in Santa Claus, Indiana. We're in a cabin here. You notice my background's a little bit different. We're taking the kids to Holiday World and Splash and Safari. And I wasn't aware of this, but Santa Claus Land is in the Central Time Zone. That's southeast or southwest Indiana. So it's in the Central Time Zone for some reason. I'm not sure. But at any rate, there's a straight line that runs down between Indiana and Illinois. But why this part of Indiana is in Central. The bottom line is, though, my videos will probably be an hour later, starting tomorrow. Be starting at 9 o'clock Eastern Time as opposed to 8 o'clock, because 9 o'clock Eastern Time will be 8 o'clock Central Time, and we'll be taking the kids to the amusement park. So it's still daylight here. So here we go, and it's actually going on almost 10 o'clock here in Santa Claus, Indiana. But let's get to Mr. and Mrs. X. Here we go.
I'd like to welcome Mrs. X.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, today we're going to start off with what Trump is doing out in D.C. He's restoring the entire city. I mean, the deep state players, what they did over time, they let D.C. get very run down. The fountains weren't working. There was mold. There was grass. There were tents in the parks. Graffiti everywhere. I mean, it looked like it was a third world city.
It was terrible.
It didn't even look like it was the capital of the United States of America. And when you see something like that, you're not proud of it. You're not like, hey, look at DC. Look, we have a great country. When you see something like that and you see the crime, I mean, crime was just unbelievable there. I mean, he had to bring in the National Guard to get rid of the crime. I mean, really think about that for a second, because the mayor of DC wouldn't do a damn thing. They pretended that there was no crime, even though they knew there was crime, and they were fudging the crime statistics to convince people they had everything under control. This is how they trick the people. Well, and of course, they do it for money also.
Well, and this is why they brought Judge Janine in, who's done a phenomenal job cleaning up the city and cracking down on crime. I believe Director the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, she just received an award from them because she's been so into cracking down on crime in DC, because it wasn't safe to walk around. It was not, and she said, if you're going to do these things and you're going to commit these crimes, you're going to be held accountable to the highest extent of the law. There was no accountability going on in Washington, DC. They were just running around like a bunch of criminals, basically, and with no consequences. So then it just became more and more crime.
Well, this is what happens when criminals run the city. You create more criminals.
Yeah.
And you could see, it's not just in DC.
No.
You could see this in all the different blue states, blue cities. The criminals who are laundering the money and everything else that we've been seeing, they are criminals themselves. It doesn't matter if they put on a suit or a pantsuit or a skirt or whatever it is, and they pretend to be just like us. They're playing a role. And the role is, hey, we're just like you. We're just trying to stop this crime.
Yeah.
In reality, when you strip that all away and you strip their role away, they're just the exact same criminal that is on the street. They might not commit murder. They might not steal in the way the criminals on the street do, but they do the same exact thing. They do it in a little bit more advanced way. They hire people to do hit jobs. They steal the money by laundering it so you don't see it.
Yeah.
They're very sophisticated in the way they do their crimes.
Yeah, they're like modern day con men, really.
Yes.
They're standing there going, oh, you want us to take care of this crime? We definitely have your back. We just need some more money. Like, that's really all they ever say. It's like the same playbook every time, the same scenario.
And if you look at DC and you look at all these other cities where the criminals are running the cities, you could see they look exactly the same. There's tents all over the place.
Yeah.
There's people sleeping on the streets. There's garbage everywhere.
Yeah.
Broken windows. I mean, Seattle is absolutely awful.
Yeah, it's awful.
Portland, Oregon is a disaster. San Francisco and LA are just, holy crap. That's just unbelievable.
Unrecognizable, really.
Unrecognizable. And this is not how it used to be. Now, again, when you have these people running it, this is what you're going to get. And I think what Trump is doing right now, he's showing everyone, listen, be proud of our nation. Be proud. And the only way to show people to be proud and convince people that you should be proud is to remove the crime and take the fountains, take the reflecting pool, take everything that they destroyed and restore it and make people look at it and go, wow, this is incredible. It's almost like when you have your home and your home is falling apart, that you need painting, you need to fix a lot of the different appliances. And when you restore it, after that's done, you feel proud of your home.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, I was thinking when you were just saying that, just to go back a little, like President Trump is, first and foremost, he's always been a showman of sorts. You know what I mean? He's always, I mean, if you go into any of his properties or his buildings or hotels, it's like, wow, and he's always very, very proud of it. Like, oh, look what we did, and you can even see it. And I think what's happening is he's reminding us to be proud of our country, which, like you're saying, but he's also putting the money where it's supposed to go when you're restoring these fountains. I mean, like we talked about this before about the fountain, the reflecting pool. Obama tried to fix it, like millions upon millions of dollars.
They
and
laundered that money out.
It was still
Come
broken.
on, let's just be honest here.
And I think President Trump is showing you, like, yeah, when you put the money where it's supposed to go, he gets a crew in. And I really think the 250th celebration, I mean, it's really like the perfect setup. And he's so good at these kinds of things because everyone's going to be looking. It's our 250th anniversary. It's about a month out now. We're in it. And, and of course the Democrats I feel like they're just seething. They're getting so angry because in preparation for this celebration that he wants to have, he has been beautifying. It started small. You saw him doing it in the Oval Office. He added the gold. He did it in his cabinet room. And he was bringing in paintings and statues that no one had seen for a very long time, really big pieces of our history, former presidents and things like that. Then he started going and he made the Rose Garden. Everyone tried to make it like that was terrible what he did with the Rose Garden. It's absolutely beautiful. And then you have like the presidents with the gold framed, presidents and, and just beautifying the White House. And now he's extending it out further into DC now that we've gotten rid of the tent cities and the homelessness problem there and all of that. Now he's going in and he's restoring the fountains. And what's happening is the people that live in DC, even people that like you said, they didn't notice it before. I can't believe how beautiful, like this one fountain, I was like, I never even had seen this before. And we have been to DC several times, over the years. And it was just like, wow, this is absolutely beautiful. And you can see like the marble and how it was intended and why it was the way that it was, and what a difference. And now, especially because everyone has cameras and their phones and they're posting on their social media, you can't really hide it. Even if the news isn't going to highlight it, because they never will. They're never going to say anything good about what President Trump does. But you're seeing people sharing, going, oh my God, look at the difference. Look at the fountain a year ago or 2 years ago or under the Biden administration. And now it's restored. It's gorgeous. It's flowing. There's no algae. There's no graffiti on it. There's no homeless tents outside of it. And you're proud to walk by it. Like, you're proud to bring people into your city to see it. Like, look at how beautiful this looks. He's just reminding us how pretty, like you said, when you redo your house, you're like, oh my God, why did I let this go so long? You have to upkeep. You always have to upkeep, and you should be proud of it when you do it. You want to keep your grass growing nice,
The other thing is, a lot of people never really went into these areas.
No,
because they were
that's
too
true.
scary.
Well, that's true.
Because there were tents, there was graffiti, and they were afraid to go into these areas. Now people are sitting on, the side of the fountain. People are in the parks. People are looking at
walking their babies and strollers. Yeah.
And I think he proved something else to everyone. He showed everyone it doesn't take that much money. And you can do it in a very short period of time. And everyone is starting to see this, because think about it. We've had multiple presidents before President Trump, and they can never clean this up.
Yeah, I know.
It really didn't take any time at all.
No.
And there was no reason, and I think that's the other reason, there is no reason to have the city looking like this. Now, I think DC is the model
100%.
for all the other cities. So if he could do this in DC, where, the crime was off the charts there, the city was a disaster. If he could do this in this very short period of time with hardly any money, what are the other mayors and governors doing in their states? See, everyone's going to start to question this.
Well,
and people are going to
should.
ask, why does it have to be this way? Why have we used billions upon billions of dollars and the situation only got worse?
Right. Well, what did he say? I think this was one of the strong taglines with the White House. It said, decline is a choice.
Yes.
And I thought that was so powerful, because it's absolutely true. It's like you're choosing that when you're over time, letting it get like that, letting it look like that. And you're right. I think he's using this as the model. I think the 250th was the perfect way to show, like, this is, we have a beautiful country. Let's start making it look like it's a beautiful country. And, I think that the messaging is very powerful, and I think it's showing people that, and again, and I go back to this as well, this has nothing to do with whether you like President Trump or not. This is like but they are arguing about it, which is fascinating to me, because TDS is definitely a real thing. Because how do you have a problem with a clean park with a flowing fountain that's clean, and you don't have to worry about homeless people, drug addicts walking around? You can walk your dog, you can, put a blanket down and sit with a friend or read a book, or walk your baby safely through the park in a stroller, because you want to have clean, beautiful green spaces in your community. But people are still arguing with him about it. But to me, this isn't a political issue. This is there's no like right side, left side here. We should feel safe to walk around and enjoy the beauty of the parks in our nation's capital. That's it.
You have to remember why they're attacking him, because, again,
they're always
the country was infiltrated. And what they did was they brought in people who are not for this country. I think it's clear as day now that you can see this. And they continually to do this. They brought people into this country. They set them up. They're very patient. They waited over a long period of time. Then they had these people run for government. They used their cheating system, which we could see out in California, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. You could see how they were able to cheat and install these people. If you install people that are completely and utterly against this country, and they want to destroy this country, because that's what Obama's plan has been from the very, very beginning, if you believe it or not. But I think very soon you're going to see how he is a Manchurian candidate, and people are going to start to realize that he was put into this position to actually destroy America. So what they did was they were very patient in all this. And again, I'm not going to go all the way back to the central bank, but that's when it began. And what they did is
he really likes to go back to the central bank.
I really
all
do.
the time. Sorry.
And what they do is they brought these people in, And they slowly but surely tried to convince people, along with the fake news. They were all in on this.
Yep, all complicit.
And they tried to get people against this country. And what they did in the school system to train the young children, just like Nazi Germany, they trained the young children to hate this country.
Okay, I'm going to pause that there, and they're absolutely right. I'll tell you, Obama, with that hope and change, I knew right then that was his platform. Hope and change. Hope for what? And what are you going to change? Okay? He didn't go into that. It was just hope and change to make this a better country. A better country for who? For whom? Okay? Certainly wasn't the average working American. That's for sure. And that's the Democrat Party in a freaking nutshell. They don't want to make the country better for the American people who made this country what it is, the hard-working American citizens. No, they want to frickin' destroy it, because as long as people are in scraping and trying to make ends meet, the more they're going to need, at least that's what the Democrats think, need the government to step in and help out, which every time the government steps in, it just gets freaking worse. All right, let me click on the Rumble link here. We're like 11 minutes into this, 11 minutes and 36 seconds into this video, a 49-minute video. I will include this in my daily news wrap-up so you can watch more of this. Okay, this video does come from X22 Report. As I said, it's Rumble Premium, premium only, but I am a premium member, so I will include this in my daily news wrap-up so you can see this. I've given him a thumbs up, given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, Viper Senior, perfect. Thank you. Okay, let me copy the live chats into a comment so they will be a permanent part of this video and won't go away when the live stream ends. Okay. These videos that I've shared with you here are videos that come directly from the producers. I have the links to the videos here in the description box, as well as the links to the producer's channel. All right? So feel free to go click on the links and see what other information the producers have. And the links that are the videos that I've shared with you are videos that I've posted here on Mertech.com. Right there is Andrew Klavan. All right, there's Doug in Exile that I shared with you. On down here is Steve Gruber, the video I shared with you there in X22, Mr. and Mrs. X, the information that I shared from them. I have over 40 videos here, folks, of no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. You don't have to surf the internet. I've done that for you. I have a link to Mertech.com in the description box. It's a free site. I don't ask for your name. I don't ask for your email address. I don't drop cookies on your computer and sell your information to other people. I don't have a bunch of ads popping up in your face. It's strictly here to provide information to people that can't get it from the mainstream media because they're not giving it to you. Okay, I'd like to share all of this information with you, but unfortunately I don't have the time to do so, and that's why I've put together my Mertech Daily News Wrap-Up playlist. It says I have 20 videos here in my playlist. Here's Andrew Klavan. We're going to take off where we left off. X22 Report, Restored Republic, talking about Hulk Hogan, died of natural causes. We the People News, On the Fringe, MG Show, And We Know, Robert Govea, another X22 Report video. Great information here, but go ahead and give me some time. Go ahead and take a break. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut or a sandwich and a soft drink, or maybe a beer. Could be a glass of wine and some cheese. Just give me like 15 or 20 minutes to get this set up in Rumble Studio, and we'll take off with this so you can have more no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth, okay? But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being here with me. Hopefully I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.